Like my 20s, this is most definitely a chaotic video. If you're wondering why I'm wearing shades, that's because my future is so bright, it's blinding. Really, what is this thing called adulthood? I don't know about you, but this is definitely not the version I ordered. I don't know if there's a return policy, but please. Okay, before we continue, I just want to put it out there. This is not some kind of advice video or blah blah blah. This is not some kind of video where I'm going to teach you something or advise you, but I am going to share my journey so far in this chaotic ride called adulthood, especially as a 20 something. There's also something that a lot of us struggle with, or should I say that I struggle with. And it's this thing called, I think my camera is kind of tilted to the right. Phew. Okay, that is it. In your 20s, you have to take responsibility for a lot of things. So you have to do a lot of things by yourself, like this filming on my own. There is this thing that I think I like this to emphasize this point. I'm going to leave this on. Okay, I saw this tweet recently and God, I I couldn't relate more because just take a look. I feel like I was just yanked from my childhood and then thrown into adulthood, quite rudely at that. I don't think that I was ready for this. I didn't quite see it coming. And I'll tell you where that feeling came from. Growing up, my parents were protective. I grew up with protective parents and, a little bit strict too. I didn't really have a lot of freedom to do stuff that I wanted to do. For example, I really wanted to model. I wanted to go into modeling so you can take me seriously. I wanted to go into modeling, but I wasn't allowed at all. I got I got different opportunities to go at it, but my parents just said no. So that is just an example of the number of times that I wasn't really allowed to do the things that I wanted to do or to go after stuff and fail at them, make mistakes. So now in my 20s, I now feel like this is finally the time that I have my freedom. And that is why I flinch when people say things like marriage, children. Not like I don't want those things, but I feel like I haven't really enjoyed being a child enough, and I'm just thrown into adulthood and I am expected to just embrace it because there wasn't a clear trajectory. You threw me from point A to point D. So it's not making sense. So that is something that I constantly find myself battling with. There are so many things I want to experience. There are so many things I want to do. And I know there are so many wins ahead, so many mistakes too. And I'm ready to make them. But I don't want to dive into something and feel trapped. I want to take risks. I don't want to make any permanent decision just yet. So, yeah, that is one thing that I am battling with. So, at this point, I'm in my rebel era, so to say. I am doing whatever I want. Please don't show my mom this video. Serious. I'm doing whatever I want. You can try it too. You might like it. Then there's one major concern a lot of 20 somethings have. At least one major concern I had was trying to figure out what to do with your life. And in 2022, at the start of 2022, if you are Nigerian, you would know that there is something called National Youth Service Corps. This is a program that you do after school, after your university. As soon as that program kicked off for me, I was in that state. I was wondering what I would do because I was running a business before that, but something terrible happened and everything crashed. So I was wondering what I was going to do with my life. NYSC doesn't pay much, so you can't really bank on it. And it's just for a year. So at that point, I was, what am I going to do with my life, really? But it's funny now that I look back, I find that my life literally changed in a year. I'm not where I used to be. I've learned a lot of things that I would have never known if I didn't take one tiny step that I didn't even know would amount to something so grand. What happened was um, I reached out to someone during my service year, as soon as it started, just wondering what to do, what not to do. I saw someone online. She was doing something. She was in this industry that I always wondered what they're doing. When people say they do statistics or some kind of jobs and you wonder what do they do in this industry, and then it piqued my interest and I reached out to her, and luckily for me she was hiring, and then she hired me. I had zero experience, but I was so willing to learn. I took on every task that was thrown at me. I Yeah, but what I'm just trying to say is from what from my personal experience, when it comes to finding what you want to do, when it comes to finding your passion, you oftentimes hear things like, oh, find what you love and go do it, go make money from it. But what if you can't figure out what you love? Some people know what they love from the get go. Some people know that they want to paint for the rest of their lives, they want to sing. Some people know that they want to be, I don't know, anything. But some people don't get that lucky. I know that I wasn't that lucky. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do something else, which was the thing I studied in school, though I know that my heart wasn't really burning for it. Well, what I have learned in finding your passion is that just do what is in front of you. Just do the next thing that you need to do. Anything that interests you, anything that piques your interest, just give it a try. And in trying out various things, even though you don't immediately know what you want, at least you know what you do not want. And it kind of narrows your choices and gives you and narrows your focus to which at the end of the day is a win-win. So the more you do stuff, the more doors open, the more opportunities open, and you realize that okay, wow, okay, I did this, I could do this too. What if I did this way? And you see, you start to piece things together, and before you know it, you have found a very nice corner for yourself. So that is what happened to me. Right now, I have interest in branding. I love building brands. One other thing that I struggled with, ooh, I struggle with, not struggle, I'm still struggling with it, was making friends outside school. As adults, we don't really have a lot in common. Let me explain. You in kindergarten, you had a seatmate, same with secondary school, and you had play dates, you had different things. In secondary school you had groups, you had shared interests with people, even if they were within the context of academia, but you had those things. In university it's still the same thing. You have roommates, you have colleagues in class, and then you just come out of school and it's like everyone is on their own, and you hear that there are different places to meet people, like work, the church, and all, but work from home and all of that, people don't even show up to work that much. That's besides the point. The point is, as adults, you don't really have those places where people converge and are forced to interact. And in those moments, bonds and friendships develop. So things like that are not really present in adulthood. And then you start to realize that slowly, 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 this feeling of loneliness starts to creep in. But how I am dealing with that is just look, I don't know how to go about that. If you're really hell bent on making friends, then you can start by reaching out to people online. But personally, I have come to the satisfying conclusion that what would find me. I am not going to stress myself. When I find the opportunity to make a friend, or when I see someone that I really like and I would want to be their friend, I'm not going to hold back. But in the absence of those opportunities, I'm not going to worry too much about that. I know a lot of people might have a controversial view to this, but I feel like your family is your everything at the end of the day. So if you can't find something outside, maybe try looking inside. You might find it because currently my sisters are like my best friends. I have very good friends, but we're in different cities. Even my sisters, we're mostly in different cities, I and my sisters. But what I'm saying is that as much as possible, try to find those nearest to you who mean the best for you and hold on tight to that relationship. It will keep you sane in the craziest of times. The next thing I feel like every 20 something year old has been there before, and it is this thing called being broke. Mm. I'm usually caught between the enjoy your life and work hard for your future because this is the time to work, not when you're older and you have to enjoy your money. Then there's another school of thought that says this is the time for you to enjoy your life. Just live your life, live your life. But what they fail to tell us is where to get the money to live our lives. So yes, I feel like many 20 somethings are caught in this divide, and it's just tough because most of us are just at the beginning of our career. Me, I live in Nigeria, and if you've been following the news lately, you can see that inflation has been on the rise, steadily rising, steadily since January till now. This is August. Since January till now, it has not been easy. And for a young 20 something year old who doesn't earn so much, that might be a lot of pressure. Also, in my 20s, I've battled a lot with self confidence. When I was in secondary school, I had my head in the sky. I don't know why I felt so fly, and it's not even about the outward appearance. It's about how you really feel inside. It's not about you being aware of how you look. It's about how you feel inside at the end of the day. So in my 20s, I feel like my confidence level has taken a huge blow, and I don't know where that came from. Not like I don't know, but I'm not sure where it came from. But it is something that I'm ready to work on and I'm actually working on. I'm trying to speak more in front of people. I'm trying to make my voice heard. I'm trying not to discard myself or trying to discredit myself because when you do not give yourself validation, you should not expect someone to give you that validation. So, two things that I'm ready to work on in my 20s: public speaking skills and mm, public speaking skills. And then, yes, my posture and my walking. You need to see me walking. So, ultimately, building my confidence. When I see women like her and her and her, I'm like, so yes, this thing that I want to talk about now, You can't be in your 20s and you'd say you haven't experienced it. I'm not against technology. I'm a big fan of technology. In fact, I use it a lot in my work. We've so incorporated it into our lives that it has become an integral part of our lifestyle and our existence as a generation. But one thing that I have noticed is that with the rise in technological advancements, there is also a simultaneous rise in isolation, especially among young people. So now we have 15 seconds videos, 5-second videos, and you need to see my inbox on Instagram. It's flooded, always flooded with memes from my friends. That is how we mostly communicate nowadays. But if I was to rewind time like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, it wasn't really like that. When we were on holidays, even when we weren't seeing each other, we still had real conversations. I'm not saying we don't have real conversations now. I am just pointing this as an example of what relationships have kind of been reduced to in this digital age. Then there's something else about technology that kind of disturbs me. And it's about social media, the pressure from social media. You'd be scrolling through Instagram and it feels like everyone is living their best life, but you're here binging on cat videos in your pajamas, and at some point you feel the oh my god, what am I doing with my life nudge. But one thing that I have come to understand is this: it might sound cliche, I know, but you have to hear it. At the end of the day, we have our journeys, we have our lives, we are different. Understand that just because you are seeing someone's highlight reel and it looks all fun and all, it does not mean it's that way, off camera. And at the same time, this might also sound cliche, but if you genuinely feel like nothing is going on in your life is boring and everything, look, I'm not going to tell you to brush it off or to, you know, don't listen to that voice. Because, yeah, while that voice might be the voice of inadequacy, which everyone feels every now and then, given, but at the same time, it might be a subtle alarm that you actually need to try out new things. Now, when you say try out new things, nobody says go do something very drastic. As little as it is, give it a try. If your routine is the same, nothing will change. Yeah, nothing changes until something changes. And nothing will change until you change something. At the end of the day, most of the time at least, no one is coming to save you. So you have to love yourself enough, believe in yourself enough, and take a chance at yourself. So do something that is outside of your routine. Finally, I want to say this. I used to be that person that I was so bothered about the state of the world. I would be so engrossed in the newspapers, in every news channel. I would be on the top of all the political gist. And it was feeding my anxiety. When you take in so much of how bad the world is, when you see the world from a very broken glass, your experiences start to feel that way too. When you see the world as a very horrible place, a very distasteful place, that starts to become a reality even for you. And while I was on top of current affairs and everything happening around me, It didn't really change anything other than make me feel sad all the time. And I'll just sit and think like,
What will happen in Nigeria in the next month? Oh, I am graduating in a year. What would happen in Nigeria in a year?
I was always worried because I was hyper aware of the world around me. I was viewing it with such a broken glass that I couldn't even see clearly myself in real life. So the thing is, while you want to be aware of what is happening around you, don't let that negativity and that darkness in this world creep into your mind. Don't let the darkness of this world stop your dreaming. Don't let it stifle your aspirations. It's not a perfect world, it's a flawed world. But understand that you have your life to live. And what happens outside of you, beyond your control, is beyond your control. And what happens beyond your control should not be a factor to your happiness or your success. That is one thing that I'm happy I understood in 2020 and even getting to understand even more now. And there is something that I've always believed. I believe that what you let control your imaginations finds its way to affect and influence your reality. When you keep seeing negativity all around, when you keep seeing impossibilities, when you keep seeing blockages, when you keep seeing darkness, or when you keep seeing those things, it might be that it's because you are thinking about it. When you keep thinking about those things, they kind of find a way to creep into your reality. I don't know how. And this can manifest in different facets of life, including relationships. For those people who constantly think that there are no good women out there or there are no good men out there, they somehow do not always end up with good people. And I'm not saying that there are no bad people in the world. That would be ridiculous. But what I'm saying is that disconnect yourself from the negative part. I'm not saying be delusional. This is not even being delusional. You could be delusional if you may, but as long as it doesn't cost you anything. I am just saying that sever your mindset from negativity and focus more on the brighter things. Focus more on what could be. Focus more on positivity and you'll see you'll find yourself attracting these things because I believe what you think is what you see. On a final note, I just want to say this. If you didn't take anything that I have been saying all day, take this thing. And I know it might sound cliche, but live your life. It's very easy when you're young to feel like everyone's watching you. The truth is, no one is watching you. I was literally making this video with a room full of neighbors, visitors. That's a lie. But seriously, I could make this video. Can I? I don't know. What I'm saying is, if you keep thinking, what would X say? Or what would so group of people say? So quit worrying about what X would say or what X person would think. Better do what you want to do. Live your life like I just said. Because the funniest thing is when you look back years from now and you start considering the things you could have done but didn't do because of what people might think or people might say or people might think about you or how they would look at you, you'd have a bunch of regrets. And I know you don't want that. Because when I look back in retrospect, I at the things that I wanted to do but held myself back from doing because I felt people would talk or people would, you know, I regret it now. And now I'm ready to do them. Though some of them, the season has sort of passed and I don't even feel like doing them anymore. But it would have been nice to have given it a try. Now that I have come to the end of my rant, slash pouring out my heart session. I have to get back to life. I hope this video resonated with someone and I hope you could relate one way or the other.